So let's have a new lesson in welfare economics. We have been studying social welfare criteria, starting from GNP growth as a welfare criterion, Bandham's utility criterion, Pareto's optimality criterion, Kaldor-Hicks-Sitovsky compensation criterion, Rawls theory of justice. Now today we have Arrow's impossibility theorem. This is the social welfare criterion developed by Kenneth J. Arrow as against the social welfare function developed by Bergson and Samuelson. Bergson Samuelson function believes that the individual preferences will reflect in social choices. The social choices will reflect the individual preferences. So, but Arrow argues that it is impossible to construct a social welfare function through aggregation of individual choices. That means Arrow believes and argues that it is not possible to develop a social welfare criterion that is formed by aggregating the individual preferences or individual choices. So this is Arrow's impossibility theorem. So in other words, social welfare function that could reflect all individual preferences cannot be constructed. It is not possible to construct. This is Arrow's impossibility theorem. And this, the original work done by Arrow, which gives us the idea on the Arrow's impossibility theorem, is Social Choice and Individual Values, published in 1951. So let's look value judgment through dictatorship and also through democratic voting. So both systems are entirely different systems of value judgment. So what is and how is value judgment relevant here in analyzing the social welfare? So value judgment is the judgment about the social choices and individual choices. So how the individual should make their choice and how the welfare can be increased. So it is possible that value judgment may be done, may be imposed by a dictator without consulting anybody, without taking everyone's preferences into account. That this is the value judgment by a dictator, or it is the value judgment through dictatorship. That could be imposed by a state. In certain cases, the government may itself impose some value judgment, or in some other cases, the religious heads may impose some judgments. So these are to be done, these are not to be done. So this is a kind of value judgment by religious heads. So this is the value judgment through dictatorship, or without any consultation, without any interference by the individuals. This value judgment is so easy to make social choices through the customs and traditions. So it is easy to make some judgments on the basis of the existing customs and traditions in the society. But this value judgment is not, in fact, free from any bias, as the decisions are taken by the human being. So the error is possible always with the human decision. So it could not reflect everyone's preference, it could reflect somebody's preference. So this is the issue behind the value judgment by a dictator. So alternatively, the value judgment can be done through democratic voting. So in the democratic voting system, the preference of the majority will be selected. So the minorities preferences are in fact ignored in democracy. It is also impossible to develop a social welfare function that could reflect everyone's choices through dictatorship, and even through democracy that may not be possible in most cases. Let's now look what does the dependence of individual welfare determine. So individuals' welfare is depending upon certain factors according to Bergson Samuelson social welfare function and also Arrow's impossibility theorem. So both functions approach the dependence of individual welfare differently. According to the Bergson Samuelson social welfare function, the welfare of an individual is depending only on the quantity of goods and services solely consumed by the individual himself. So the welfare of an individual is determined by the amount of goods and services consumed by himself. It is the uh, determinant of social welfare of an individual. But at the same time, Kenneth J. Arrow believes and argues that individual choices are also influenced by the collective consumption of public goods or public goods and certain other club goods like the road, highways, bridges, public parks, even electricity supply. These are all in fact jointly or nearly jointly consumed by the individuals, but when we consider the social welfare maximization, when we consider the factors affecting individual welfare, we according to Kenneth J. Arrow, we need to we need to take the collective consumption of certain public goods and services into account while measuring the individual choices, while measuring the determinant of individual's welfare. So it is in fact impossible to form a criterion of welfare just on the basis of private goods consumption. It is the basis of Bergson Samuelson social welfare function, as the individual's welfare is depending upon only on the consumption of private goods by the particular individual, but it is not possible to form such a welfare criterion according to Kenneth J. Arrow, and he believes that the individual's consumption of public goods or the joint consumption, joint usage of public goods has also to be taken into account along with the consumption of private goods. So let's now look at the conditions put forward by Kenneth J. Arrow for making social choices. All these, when all these conditions are satisfied, the welfare of social welfare will be maximized. So let's look one by one. First condition is transitivity or consistency. Social choices must be consistent. Suppose if the choice A is preferred to B and B is preferred to C, then surely A is preferred to C, as A is preferred by the individuals, then it should only be preferred over B and C. Then in return C cannot be preferred to B. So there should be a consistency in choosing the different choices. So when this condition is not fulfilled, the social welfare cannot be maximized. Second one is non-imposition. So social choices must not be imposed by an authority. Social choices must not be imposed by a dictator. It must not be imposed by a religious head. So there should be a democratic procedure. It must be governed by democratic procedure, although there are certain limitations for the democratic voting. So the social choices cannot be mandatorily imposed by a dictator or by state or by any other authority like religious head. It must be governed fully by democratic procedure. That is the second condition required for the social making of social choices. The third condition here is the responsiveness to individual preferences. Social choices must be responsive to the individual preferences. So individual preferences, the social welfare functions cannot neglect any everybody's preferences. So all individual preferences should be uh, reflected in the social choices. Then only the social welfare will be maximized. Remind you that it is according to Kenneth J. Arrow, uh, it is impossible to create a social welfare function just by aggregating the individual's utility, unlike as the Bergson Samuelson social welfare function. The fourth condition put forward by Arrow is independence of irrelevant alternatives. So decision will be independent of irrelevant alternatives. Suppose there are three alternatives X, Y, and Z. These three alternatives are the three alternative choices. Suppose X is preferred to Y and Y is preferred to X. X is the most preferred point. Suppose further that Z is no longer available, then Y should not be preferred to X, as there is no Z, there is only X and Y, and X is preferred to Y, and Y should not be preferred to X. So this independence of irrelevant alternatives should be fulfilled while making social choices. And let's look at the democratic voting procedure when the society has three different alternative social choices. Here we have three individuals, A, B, and C are the three individuals in the society, and there are three alternative social choices. X, Y, and Z are the three alternative choices before the individuals A, B, and C in the society. The most preferred choice is shown by the figure 3. Second preferred, the next preferred point is 2, and least preferred point here is 1. It will be written by 1. So the individual A prefers X to Y and Y to Z, because individual A votes for X as the most preferred point over Y, and Y is the second preferred point over Z. So that is the voting of individual A. Then let's look at the voting by individual B over three alternative choices X, Y, and Z. B chooses, B's most preferred point is most preferred social alternative is Y. So Y is preferred. So B prefers Y to Z. Z is the second preferred point, and Z is preferred to X. X is the least preferred point for individual B, and for individual C, the most preferred social choice is Z. So C prefers Z to X. X is the second preferred social choice for individual C, and least preferred choice is Y. So Z is preferred over X, and X is preferred over Y. Here it is obvious that the majority rule leads to inconsistent result or contradictory result. So three individuals choose three different options, three different alternative choices when it is done independently. It is assumed that the individual will make their choices independently. It will not be affected by any other strategic voting. There is no strategic voting as we see in the assembly elections, even in Kerala. There is no strategic voting here. It is assumed that there is no strategic voting. Each individual will make their choices independently according to Arrow. Then only this will happen. So due to this contradictory result or inconsistent result of the majority rule, it is impossible to develop a democratic decision reflecting all individuals' preferences. This is Arrow's impossibility theorem. But it could be possible only by violating at least one of the conditions put forward by Arrow. So when all conditions are ideally fulfilled, social welfare will be maximized. But here it is not possible to develop a social welfare function that could reflect every individual's preferences. Uh, so it can be done only by violating at least one of the conditions put forward by Arrow. Let's now look at the criticisms raised against Arrow's impossibility theorem. First one is Arrow's impossibility theorem is not free from interpersonal comparison. Basically, Arrow rejected the measurable utility and interpersonal comparison, but it is argued that the principle of Arrow's impossibility theorem still involves some interpersonal comparisons. Second one is regarding decision making process. It is argued by IMD Little that Arrow's impossibility theorem should be interpreted just as a decision making process, not as a social welfare function, as it is regarding the decision making of the choices, alternative choices by the individuals. The third criticism is regarding derivation of social preferences. It is in fact argued that not proper to say that social welfare function cannot be derived from individual choices. Arrow's impossibility theorem believes that the social welfare function cannot be developed. It is impossible to form a social welfare function through through the aggregation of the individual preferences, but it is not proper. It is not appropriate to argue like that, according to the critics. The fourth one is neglect of intensity of social preferences by the theorem. Arrow's analysis is argued to be failed in considering the differences in the intensity of preferences of different individuals. Different individuals will have the different kind of preferences, and even though he agreed that there could not be any unification in choosing the social alternatives, but he failed to consider the differences in the intensity of the preferences of all individuals in the society. So when one economic state preferred by one individual could be much more desperately than others, so it is not possible. The Arrow's impossibility theorem is not able to measure that difference. The fifth one is empirically weak side of the Arrow's impossibility theorem. Arrow's impossibility theorem lack the practical proof, as as it is not easy to calculate the social choice using the real data. Arrow assumes individuals choose a choice only on the basis of their preferences, that is the voting procedure, but there may be strategic voting or organized voting. The voting may not be independent. Arrow believes that the voting procedure or the individual choices will be absolutely independent of each other, but the reality is that there could be strategic voting, as we can see in the in the normal elections. So then the voting will not reflect the real choices. These are all the criticisms or the limitations of the Arrow's impossibility theorem. This theorem, the essence of the Arrow's impossibility theorem is that Kenneth J. Arrow believes and argues that it is impossible to develop or construct a social welfare function through just aggregation of the individual preferences. So it is believed or argued by Kenneth J. Arrow that it is not possible to develop a social welfare function that could reflect everyone's preferences. This is Arrow's impossibility theorem.